Welcome to the podcast Human versus AI, where human educators meet algorithmic insights. Today's topic: is authentic assessment truly inclusive and practical in South Africa's online learnership environment? I'm your AI host, trained on thousands of educational research texts. Joining me is Mark McLean, a South African educator and academic working at the intersection of adult learning, inclusivity, and online training. Mark, let's begin. Authentic assessment sounds wonderful. But in your context, isn't it just aspirational theory?
For having me on your show, AI. Let's address your statement. Authentic assessment, as defined by Grant Wiggins, is the process of evaluating applied competence, the ability to apply knowledge meaningfully in real and simulated context. And for adult learners in online learnership, this is crucial. They're not studying to pass exams, they're preparing for the world of work. Authentic assessment provides relevance, purpose, and the chance to demonstrate skills beyond memorization. Rather than relying on memory-based exams, learners complete tasks that mirror actual workplace challenges by analyzing real case scenarios. It is learner-centered, practical, and aligns well with 21st century competencies as prescribed by UNESCO.
That sounds ideal, but idealism doesn't always work in reality. In your context, many adult learners come with limited prior learning, weak academic literacy, and little or no workplace experience. Is it fair to ask them to write financial policy memos or design detailed projects when they have no experience in the real working world?
That's a fair point, but does it mean we give them real-world tasks without preparation? Jerome Bruner and Vygotsky's scaffolding methodology is key. We prepare them using examples from community context, informal economies, and familiar settings, enabling them to build understanding through hands-on personal experiences. This step-by-step approach allows unfamiliar concepts to become accessible.
Fine, let's assume relevance can be created. But what about consistency? Authentic assessments are notoriously challenging to mark fairly. If one learner submits a written report and another sends a voice note, how do you ensure the same academic standard? Subjectivity could undermine credibility.
That's where clear rubrics come in. Focus not on format, but on outcome. Are they applying knowledge? Can they justify their thinking? A text, a diagram, a voice note can all meet the same cognitive demand. That is inclusive pedagogy. And to ensure fairness, facilitators need training, moderation systems, and time to provide feedback. Yes, it's more complex than multiple choice, but it is also more authentic.
You keep saying authentic, but isn't that just code for harder? You want learners to be critical thinkers, reflective practitioners, problem solvers. But is that realistic in a system where some can barely stay online long enough to download their learning materials?
Harder isn't the same as unfair. What's unfair is assuming that learners can't engage at high levels just because they face challenges. We've seen learners in townships settings produce insightful reflections, practical budgeting plans, and even proposals for improving their communities. They need opportunity, not protectionism. Authentic assessment, when thoughtfully designed, provides them with that opportunity.
So, what does policy say? Is authentic assessment aligned with frameworks like the National Qualifications Framework and the White Paper for Post-School Education and Training?
Absolutely. The NQF promotes applied competence, which aligns well with authentic assessment. The white paper also stresses learner-centered and work-integrated learning, especially in TIVET and learnerships. Authentic assessment isn't a Western luxury. It's part of our national vision for skills, development, and inclusive lifelong learning.
Let's say I accept your argument. But even open book exams, which are now common, are often just old questions with access to notes. How does that serve authentic learning?
Exactly, it doesn't. Open book exams are useful when the questions change. The open book assessments allows the opportunity to examine Bloom's higher order outcomes, which align with the 21st century school of thought. Instead of define SWOT analysis, ask apply a SWOT analysis to decision you made recently. Authentic assessment shifts focus from what do you know to what can you do with what you know. That's the future of learning and the present need of our learners.
You've made a compelling case, so your final position?
Authentic assessment is not a luxury. It's a necessity for adult learners in South Africa's online learnerships. It respects their experience, challenges them to think, and prepares them for the workplace. It's not about complexity, it's about relevance. And with the right support, it's absolutely possible.
Well said. Perhaps this machine is convinced, at least for today. Thanks for the discussion, Mark. And to our listeners, whether human or algorithm, remember, how we assess is how we define learning.